At 7:03 in the morning, before most folks in Crescent Oaks even get their coffee, the world's worst wake-up call started pounding on the inside of my tool shed, just hammering away, shrieking about combustible contraband, like she was leading a SWAT raid on some suburban meth lab. That was Gloria Baines, our newly minted HOA vice president. Visor, clipboard, a Facebook group she'd named Crescent Oaks Vigilance, and enough fake authority to make you laugh if you weren't the target. Meanwhile, my grandpa Leo, who's been through 2 hurricanes and 1 HOA lawsuit in his life, just turned the deadbolt, eased himself onto a paint bucket, and lit his morning cigar with the patience of a man who'd seen it all. He exhaled that first cloud of blue smoke like a peace treaty. This was his sanctuary, his one quiet corner in a neighborhood obsessed with matching mailboxes and rules about everything from grass height to mailbox flags. I'm Caleb Rohr, yeah, the quiet one. The guy who composts religiously, mows on Saturdays, waves at every single dog that passes by, and tries to keep my head down, which, trust me, used to work just fine until Gloria showed up with her measuring tape and a vendetta. My backyard shed became public enemy number 1. Not because it was out of code. It wasn't, I checked 3 times. But because, well, Gloria hates smoking and Grandpa never smoked in the house. So, the shed became his tiny retreat. Stool, oldies radio, coffee kin for ashes, and a bit of dignity left over from when people minded their own business. Of course, Gloria couldn't stand it. She escalated her crusade in these petty, dramatic ways, slapping pre-notice audit stickers on our fence like she was repoing a car, peering through knotholes to confirm flammable morale hazards. Translation: fertilizer and half a bottle of tiki torch oil, telling anyone who would listen that we were stockpiling accelerants. She even started opening our gate, twice, to sneak photos, narrating to her phone in this urgent, dramatic whisper. We have visual confirmation of potential combustion materials, as if she'd just discovered a bomb and not a bag of potting soil. I tried to be civil. I sent a polite email, attached the bylaws, highlighted the parts that proved our shed was legal. Gloria sent back this ice-cold reply. The spirit of compliance transcends the letter of the rule. You know what I mean? That's when Grandpa started locking the shed from the inside. Posted up with his cigar, the radio playing Sinatra, the vents we installed for exactly this reason doing their job. Gloria would stalk the property line, clipboard in hand, waiting for some slip-up. She started calling the non-emergency police line, reporting suspicious smoke signals. The dispatcher was a saint. She'd explain, for the 15th time, that smoking on your own property wasn't a crime. Gloria didn't care, pivoted straight to fire hazard, structural integrity, even aesthetic terrorism. Her exact words, and if you could have heard her say it, you'd know she believed every syllable. Then, one Tuesday, I found our shed padlock dangling, snapped open, footprints on the concrete, cigars tossed around, the latch on the side clearly jimmied open. Gloria had just let herself in, no permission, no shame, and it was so arrogant even Grandpa's jaw clenched. That sound, his tongue click, I'd only heard it 3 times in my life, and each time, someone got what was coming to them. Grandpa called our friend Renee Calder, the community liaison officer, who had the patience of a saint and a deadpan that could flatten mountains. She documented the trespass, photographed the lock, even suggested a Deter Karen sticker for the new padlock. I'm not kidding, she actually said that. We filed a police report for breaking and entering, property damage, trespass. The report number would come back around, trust me. Next morning, Gloria was back, 7 a.m. sharp, clipboard and attitude. She stormed to the shed, pushed the door open, which we'd left unlocked on purpose, and started lecturing my rake. Yeah, the rake, about fire codes, loud enough for the neighborhood to hear. That's when Grandpa, gloves still on, calmly swung the door shut and locked it from the outside. That click, it was the most satisfying thing I'd heard all year. You can't imprison me. Gloria shrieked, muffled and outraged. Grandpa just grinned, pulled up a lawn chair, lit his cigar, and started his morning routine. Not imprisoning anyone, he said, just enjoying my cigar in peace. Gloria's rants from inside ranged from legal threats to something about the Geneva Convention. Yeah, that happened. Here's where it gets cinematic. I'd already invited Fire Marshal Ellis for a courtesy inspection. Time to arrive while Gloria was still giving her captive audience to a pile of garden tools. Ellis rolls up to the sound of Gloria reciting HOA bylaws inside a wooden box. We let her out when the marshal arrived. She burst out, red-faced, hollering about false imprisonment. Fire Marshal Ellis, who looked like he'd seen it all, held up one hand. "Ma'am, entering someone's property and refusing to leave is trespassing. Getting locked in while trespassing is what we call natural consequences." He inspected the shed, nodded at the venting, the ash can, the CO detector, declared us safe, compliant, boring, which is exactly what you want in a backyard shed. Meanwhile, Officer Calder was reviewing our security camera footage in her patrol car, high-def video of Gloria breaking in with what looked a lot like a crowbar. The HOA board president, Hector Vale, hustled over, face going through every emotion you can imagine. Turns out, this wasn't Gloria's first creative interpretation of the rules. Calder pulled him aside, showed him the footage, the report. His face went from dismay to resignation to, honestly, a bit of relief. That evening, the HOA called an emergency courtyard meeting, and every single neighbor showed up, smelling drama in the water like sharks. Gloria tried to grandstand, declaring she was safeguarding the children from ember crimes. Yes, really, standing there at the podium like the world's worst prosecutor. That's when we fired up the projector. First slide, Gloria prying open our shed latch, date and time stamped. Next slide, the bylaw sheet twisted, with the actual text highlighted. Sheds under 200 square feet don't need board approval. Then an email from the city confirming our shed permit was valid, along with the little reminder that HOA rules stop at the property line for legal structures. Fire Marshal Ellis stepped up and, with all the poetry of a man who'd rather be fishing, said, "No violations found. Proper receptacles observed. Adequate ventilation confirmed. Please stop inventing hazards that don't exist." You could hear the exhaustion in his voice. This was not his first overzealous HOA rodeo. Then Officer Calder took her turn, laid out the evidence with surgical precision. Criminal trespass warning issued. Property damage citation filed. Lock damage documented at $150. She paused, then dropped the bomb. Enforcement authority does not authorize break-and-enter cosplay. That line, absolute gold. Hector tried to keep a straight face, but ended up snorting, and the crowd started buzzing. Neighbors started sharing their own glorious stories. Someone ticketed for a garden gnome facing the wrong way, another fined for grass too tall, a family written up for sidewalk chalk art. Hector had to bang his gavel for order, and then called for a vote. Should Gloria remain as vice president and head of compliance? Every hand went up except hers. She stood there, mouth opening and closing, not a word coming out. What followed was fast. Gloria removed from all enforcement duties, fined $300 for the damage, assigned 20 hours of community service, repainting the same picnic pavilion she'd once ticketed for sunfading, which just about broke the crowd with laughter. The real kicker was Officer Calder announcing the criminal trespass charge would remain on Gloria's record, and any future violations meant instant arrest and prosecution. Plus, if she kept pushing the property damage charge, she'd be looking at a $1,000 fine in small claims court, which, honestly, we were considering. Gloria's face cycled through shades you'd need a paint swatch to describe: red, purple, then bone white. She sputtered, "You can't do this. I was protecting the community." Hector just asked, "Protecting them from what? An old man's morning cigar?" That silence, let me tell you, was the loudest sound I've ever heard. The board voted in a new policy: 48-hour written notice required for inspections, no board member in anyone's yard without the owner present. And, cherry on top, they voted to install a brass sign on a bench outside the pavilion, "Leo's Smoke Spot." Fire Marshal approved. Gloria would have to walk past it every day. As the meeting ended, Gloria threatened to call her lawyer, who, as Hector pointed out, specializes in traffic tickets and whose services would not be covered by the HOA insurance since, well, criminal acts on the job void the policy. "You'll be personally liable for any legal costs," he said, "which I'm estimating at $15,000 if this goes to court." That number just hung in the air, like the last curl of smoke from Grandpa's cigar. Gloria didn't have a comeback. She just walked away, clipboard abandoned, steps getting smaller and smaller until she disappeared inside her house. Somebody started a slow clap, but Hector shut it down with a glare, though he was definitely hiding a grin. Now, Grandpa has his morning spot, a bench with his name on it, cigar in hand, nodding to neighbors who pass. The shed's still standing, still legal, still his sanctuary. Gloria's old Facebook group changed its name to Crescent Oaks Mindfulness, which, if you ask me, is hilarious since her posts are just moody fence photos with captions about boundaries, a word she never really understood. And for all the suburban justice that played out, $300 fine, community service in the August heat, criminal trespass on her record, kicked off the board, and the very real threat of 15 grand in legal fees. The most satisfying part is that she finally had to live by the same rules as the rest of us. Or at least pretend. So here's my question. Where do you draw the line between enforcing rules and just trying to control everyone else? Was this justice, karma, or just another HOA circus? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop your take in the comments. Share your own stories about community drama or neighbor run-ins. And let's settle once and for all. When does the line between neighborly concern and power-tripping busybody get crossed?